Hello, everybody. Welcome to tonight's live stream. And today, Nationwide, or this morning, released their latest house price index. We're going to go over that, and you guys can ask any questions or discuss the report in the comment section below. If you are watching this on the rewind or the replay, please consider subscribing. Join the community down below. Lovely bunch of people. And you'll get a notification every time I do a live stream, which will hopefully be at least once a week over the next few weeks. So, join in. Let's get into the live stream. Hello, if you are watching live. We've got Alex. Welcome, my friend. Always here. Really, really like that. Thank you very much. Right, let's get into the report. Let's show the screen here. Here we go. So annual house price growth edged further into the negative territory in July. July saw house prices fall 0.2% month on month. The annual rate of house price growth remained negative at 3.8 or minus 3.8%, down from 3.5% in June. Where are we here? So we're now looking at the average price for not seasonally adjusted. Price for properties 260,828, down around 2,600 pounds in a month. So definitely a saving if you are thinking of buying the average property. But let's just stress that these figures are based on Nationwide's own mortgage lending. They are one of the biggest, but no means is this a whole of market price indicator. It's a small portion of the market, but it's still definitely something worth taken into consideration when you're doing your other research with the other price indices and your own sort of local knowledge and speaking to people who you know and trust. And let's get in to see what Robert Gardner, Nationwide's chief economist, said. Annual house price growth edged down to minus 3.8% in July. This was the weakest outturn since July 2009, and we all know what happened in 2007, 2008. Although it is only modestly lower than the minus 3.5% recorded last month. There was a slight fall of 0.2% over the month after taking into account seasonal effects. As a result, the price of a typical home is now 4.5% lower than the August 2022 peak. So we've had a 4.5% drop according to Nationwide's figures since the peak of the market last year. And that will be dependent on where you are in the country. I'll be reading through comments and people have messaged me saying that actually prices have been going up or not moved at all where they are. And that's why it's very important that you look into the regional and even more detailed, if you can, data on what's happening in house prices. Remember, this is just an average overview of the whole of the country based on Nationwide's own figures only. So what you might be finding where you are might be completely different. As a result, housing affordability remains stretched for those looking to buy a home with a mortgage. For example, a prospective buyer earning the average wage and looking to buy the typical first-time buyer property with a 20% deposit would see monthly mortgage payments account for 43% of their take-home pay. That's assuming there's a 6% mortgage rate. This is up from 32% a year ago and well above the long-run average of 29%. Moreover, deposit requirements continue to present a high hurdle, with a 10% deposit equivalent to 55% of gross annual income. So although we're seeing house prices coming down, so we've seen a £2,600 or £2,800 drop in the last month alone, the difference in what you as a first-time buyer having to pay as a percentage of your take-home pay has increased dramatically. Was it from 32% up to 43%? So an 11% extra of your income, your take-home income, is having to go towards a mortgage based on a 20% deposit buying the average first-time buyer property with a 6% rate. I'm not sure. I've not looked at the rates recently. Obviously, I'm not a mortgage broker, but I'm not sure if 6% is roughly the average with a 20% deposit, or it's 6% with a 10% deposit. So you need to sort of speak to a mortgage broker if that is something you need to look into a bit more thoroughly, rather than listening to me or anybody in the media. This challenging affordability picture helps to explain why housing market activity has been subdued in recent months. Again, that will vary from place to place because we're still pretty consistent throughout the whole of this year compared to last year. So we're not seeing what other areas are seeing. I'm in North Essex, if you're not, if you don't get the accent. There were 86,000 completed housing transactions in June, 15% below the levels prevailing the same time last pandemic, still 10% lower on completed transactions compared to normal times. More timely mortgage approval data showed a slight increase in activity in June, though most of these applications will predate the more recent rise in long-term interest rates. Moreover, activity is still 20% lower than 2019 levels. So that is so what the Bank of England data released, I think it might have been Monday or towards the end of last week, is that there was a jump in mortgage approvals in June. But they're putting that down to people remortgaging, and that's not taking into account the steady increase in mortgage rates we had in June. They were going up week by week, if not day by day. Lenders were pulling them off the market. So there was quite a few people looking to remortgage, secure a lower rate before rates went up. Although I think I've seen a couple of articles that 6 or 7 main street banks are lowering their rates this week or next week. But when they put the rates up, they go up quite sharply. But when it comes to them coming down, they come down a fraction. So I wouldn't expect too much movement on that. And that does depend on what happens with the Bank of England on Wednesday or Thursday with their interest rate, whether it goes up by 0.25% or 0.5%. So that would have a bit of a bearing on what the banks do next week with their rates. You can see here on this chart, I'm not sure how big you can see that here, that this is the abnormal low interest rates we've had since the 2017-ish. Very, very low. I mean, even got even lower in 2020. So this line here, this sort of steady line there, is not a normal interest rate. It's what my generation in our 20s and 30s are used to for mortgage rates, but this is not normal. We're probably going to see, well, a lot of commentators and mortgage brokers are expecting that mortgage rates will probably settle between 3, 4, 4.5%, and that will be the new normal, which is a lot more than what people had been paying over the last couple of years. However, a hell of a lot less than what some people are getting mortgages fixed at the moment. Nevertheless, a relatively soft landing is still achievable, provided broader economic conditions evolve in line with our and most other forecasters' expectations. In particular, unemployment is expected to remain below 5%, and the vast majority of exiting borrowers should be able to weather the impact of higher borrowing costs, given the high proportion of fixed rates, and where affordability testing should ensure that those needing to refinance can afford a higher payment. While activity is likely to remain subdued in the near term, healthy rates of nominal income growth, together with modestly low house prices, should help improve housing affordability over time, especially if mortgage rates moderate once bank rates peak. Cool. A lot of reading there. A lot of reading. Let's have a look here. Let's go into some comments before we talk about it. Right. DM's back. Hello, DM. How you doing? How you doing? Give me some good news. Don't want the house I need. I don't want the house I need. You want the house you want, don't you? Hi, Hannah. Thanks for joining us. Really good to see you. If you could like the stream, that'd be absolutely fantastic, guys. Helps YouTube push this out to more people who may find it helpful. If you haven't subscribed, that'd be great if you could as well. Really means a lot. DM as wrote, I've seen a few properties from reduced, I'm guessing, by 25 and 50k recently. Looks like sellers are getting more realistic now, and we're clearly over the peak. 100% drop by, yeah. Highly, is it okay to go 200k below asking price on a property which is currently listed at £800,000 down from? I mean, you can do whatever you want. Whatever you want. I mean, if it was 175 grand overpriced, at least 175,000 pound overpriced, then, and they've reduced it that much, it's a good reduction. But if it hasn't sold, and my rule, if you watch the most recent live stream a few days ago, was if there is a house or a property on the market that's been on the market for more than 3, 4, 5 weeks, then it's generally the price. Because sometimes houses can be at the right price, but there's just not as many people looking for that particular type of property. So it can take a little bit longer. Yeah, Go for it. Go for it. If it's been on the market a little while, February, March, April, May, June, July, come back with a counter offer, which might be something you would look at. But if you've done your own research, move goes well for you. Good luck, and let me know what you plan for your first. Yeah, I think some people go Chinese pizza. Yeah, all to their own. But for me, it's fish and chips. I'll put a link actually of some more. Can that go? Yeah, I think that's gone. Yeah, on where you are in the country as well. So have a look. Got a good deal, and please, lots of things getting reduced, but still the ones that need to sell generally price their property at realistic prices, and there'll be ones that are selling in that 3 to 5 week sort of time frame. If they're on the market for longer than that, then they've been either poorly advised and continually poorly advised by their estate agent by not getting them to reduce, or at least requesting that they reduce, or they're just totally unrealistic with their price. And we do experience them. We do experience them. And the worst thing I think an estate agent can hear from a seller at the moment is, "I'm not in a rush." As soon as I hear that, my enthusiasm just drops. I don't want to be dealing with people that don't mind sitting on the market for 6 months to a year, because it wastes my time, my boss's money, advertising budgets. It's just not worth it. So I am starting to be a bit more selective. I've always been selective, but even more selective on what properties I look to take on the market. I do have that chat with people to say, look, we're going to try it at this price based on this research and these comparable properties. However, if we haven't had 10 viewings or sold in sort of 3 to 4 weeks, then we will need to look at adjusting the price, especially if I can prove that the property has been seen in front of enough people and enough. It's talk for you. Talk. Not very good. I think it's a common misconception that, I don't know the exact figure, but I think it's about 50% who have mortgages are going to be paying off their mortgage over the next year rates. And I'll go back to the report a little bit that said that because the bank's done stress testing 8, 9, whenever it was, to make sure people could afford higher interest rates, 3% above the bank's standard variable, I think it was. So that was generally around sort of 5, 6%. So they stress test people between 8 and 9%, which is the sort of figures we're approaching now. So they think because they've stress tested people 2, 3 years ago, that they're going to be fine. But some people, once they buy a house, maybe Hannah, you buy your house, you may be looking to refurbish it or spend some money. You may look to get a loan. You may look to put something on a credit card, etc. And your finances will change while you own a home, because owning a house is expensive. You do have running costs, upkeep, which you don't have when you live at home as much or when you rent a property. So it really is a bit naive of banks to say that because they've stress test people when they're at the most attractive to lend money to. And remember, when you're looking to get a mortgage, you make yourself very attractive by cutting all your subscriptions, not wasting money where you shouldn't. But then as soon as you've got your house, I'm sure a lot of people fall back into their old ways and start your Netflix again. You start your Disney Plus and Spotify, all those bits and pieces, and your avocado on toast, which apparently we all have. Tino, welcome from Stevenage. I had family around Stevenage Way, nice little part of the world. What is the average interest rate now? I think they're saying it's between sort of 6 and 6.5%, depending 2 or 5 year fixed rate at the moment. Watching from the settee in Wheelie Heath. Hello, Father. Hello, Father. I'm sure there's something better on TV than me. Hi, Leo. Welcome. We've got a few people watching. This is really nice. Really nice. You are more than welcome, Ray. Sorry I butchered your name. SLB. Hi, Lee. Nice to see you back more recently. Yes, I've got a lot more chance to do this as the missus now works nights, so I've got more chance to engage with you guys. We've got around a 3-bed in Buckinghamshire, and prices are in free fall. Cannot believe my eyes. Those that are overpriced are just sitting there. Again, you've got stubborn sellers and people who don't need to sell. They're testing the market, and if they can get a certain amount of money, they will move. If they can't, then they'll just keep it on until either prices catch up, they get the offer they want, or they decide to take it off and try again. I mean, we've had a few sellers that have done that. They've gone, I'm not getting the price I want. I can't find the house I want. I'm going to try again next year, which is really frustrating. Really frustrating. Hannah's going for an Indian. Nice, cool. Couldn't agree more. Well, no, fish and chips. No, fish and chips. Fish and chips. My seller was reasonable, as I was with my buyer, and it's all served as well. People buy from people. When there's a nice relationship between buyer and seller, it makes our job, the estate agent, a hell of a lot easier. And also during the negotiating phase as well. If you've got on well with a seller when you viewed the property once or twice, and I've done this, I've said this on many a video about viewing a house and how to get your offer accepted, is build up a rapport with the estate agent and definitely the seller. Compliment them on their home. If they've been there 30 years and raised a family, say stuff like, oh, our plan is to do exactly what you've done, start our family, do this, do that, just sort of relate as much. And people will be more, not always, but if they like you, then they may be more susceptible to a bit more of a negotiation. But yeah, people buy from people. And yeah, if you're reasonable with each other, it makes the whole process a hell of a lot better for everyone involved. Even those that are priced more fairly are still sitting there. Only ones that are a true steal are selling. We're going to wait and continue to watch prices fall. Just hard to time. Yeah, and a lot of people say you never know when the bottom is. You know it's the bottom when it's too late. And I think that's the the frustrating thing is that yeah, it is going to be too late sometimes when you know what the when to time to buy. But my advice has always been, and I'm hoping the stream's all right. I'm not getting told that it's crap anymore. That if you can find a house that you need to buy, you're not overpaying. You're going to stay there for a number of years. Sorry, I clicked my finger there. And you can't see your financial position change for those years, then there's no reason not to buy. And again, there was a story I'd done in my last live stream that a first-time buyer who can afford the mortgage rates right now, they didn't buy the house they wanted, which is a 3-bed detached or a 4-bed detached. They've had to settle for a 3-bed semi, but they're saying that they can afford the 6-ish% interest rate, and they've got a 5-year fix. So in 5 years' time, when they come to remortgage, they should have seen hopefully some increase in house price as well as the lower interest rate. So they would put a positive spin on it. But yeah, it is difficult to time it. But if you do see the property you love and you know it's the right price and you can afford the monthly payments and you can't see your financial position changing, then go for a property. Hannah saying, don't chase the market down. I'm glad I sold and I did and bought. Well, yeah. It's very difficult to get good money when you're chasing a falling market. Getting white spinning circle, connection really bad. Yeah, me too. Lots of buffering. Your connection is bad. Can I sit next to the router? Oh, is that your dad? That's nice of him to listen in. Should I do equity release? Right, I'm hoping. Hang on, 1 second. 1 second. Right, I've moved the router closer. I've opened the door. If you hear a baby crying, I'll have to go because I've woken up my son. Right, that is my dad. It is. I used to listen in quite a lot, didn't you, mate? He used to listen in quite a lot. No, he shouldn't do equity. No, if you want to do equity release, Dad, do it. Spend my inheritance. Absolutely fine. Enjoy yourself. Hannah, chains are a nightmare. Never again. I've been trying to move since January. First chain was awful. Found my alternative property when it collapsed, and it's going through in 4 weeks. My buy away. That's good. That's good. I mean, if you've been reasonable in the price you've accepted, then yeah, and you've got on well, then it just makes the whole thing. If things do go wrong or start to go wrong, having that nice rapport and that good relationship. Sorry, the cat's now walked in. Really helps keep chains together. Really does. Much better. It's going okay now. Excellent. Christine's waiting for 1996 prices to return. yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen. Some commentators are saying it, but I think you'd be waiting maybe a little bit longer than than you might be able to get a mortgage for. Hannah, I'm half glad I'm moving now when rates have gone up because I'd rather be in a realistic situation, if that makes sense. Yeah, I'm gonna say it's one of those things that rates should go down. I mean, I've got no data. You guys know this is all just my gut and what I'm experiencing. But I would like to think that if we start to see inflation coming down, and if banks are pricing in that we've hit close to peak inflation, not peak inflation, peak Bank of England rates and mortgage rates, then surely, providing if everything else goes okay in terms of unemployment, like Nationwide said, repossessions don't get too common, then yeah, rates should come back to a more normal level of 3-4%. And again, I've got no data, no research to back that up. Mortgage, they should be lower and you'd be more comfortable. I remember hitting 3.5 thinking 4, I'll wait it out. That was a long time ago, wasn't it? A long time ago. It's okay now, Lee. That was about oh, okay. Sorry, I was a bit behind on the old the comments. Sorry about that. Christine. He doesn't need any encouragement. Doesn't need any encouragement. He's trying to wind me up. But if he was, he can do it. He can do it. It's difficult because everyone is waiting for interest rates to drop. My scare is that there might be a mad rush for houses when prices drop, which will push price up again, and prices aren't too bad now. Sorry, the cat's going nuts. When the rates do come down, there will be an influx, like there was about 6-7 weeks ago when rates were starting to come down. A lot of people did start looking to remortgage and buy, like a bit of a bounce back in earlier in the year. And then banks started pulling mortgages because they had taken on too much and didn't want to get overwhelmed. So it probably will happen. It probably will happen. Not to the extent of which has happened over the last or the previous 2.5 years, but certainly there will be a bounce, as there always is with the property market. So it's just a case of when that will be. And if you're reading about it, then generally you've missed that initial bit. People like Hannah, who sold and bought now, they may have agreed at the right price when they sold. Prices have probably come down a little bit. Maybe that failed transaction she had on her first property, she might have even saved a bit of money because prices continue to come down and they may be on their upward trend again. I mean, Hannah's not too far away from me, and our market up to about 300,000 is very, very, very strong. Very strong. There's competition for properties, certain properties in my area. Sometimes 2, sometimes 3 buyers offering at the same time on 3-bedroom semi-houses. Those sorts of properties are still very, very popular where I am. And yeah, I wouldn't say there's a bounce, but those prices, those lower end ones for us are holding ground. They haven't seen the huge drops, the 4.6% that Nationwide are suggesting. Miss Detox, hello. Hey, great to have you back on live again. No real updates for you right now, but happy with the housing prices have continued to fall. Yep, I think a lot of people will be happy with that. A lot of people will be extremely happy. And I'm hoping there'll be maybe a bit more for you guys. You know me, I've said about 10%, up to 15%, depending on where you are. We're according to Nationwide, 4.6 compared to the peak a year ago. So if we have hit the peak of mortgage rates, then yeah, I can't see it getting too much worse, providing everything else stays the same and inflation continues to come down. But I'm not an economist, clearly. If you haven't liked the stream, guys, please give it a thumbs up. We've got at the moment. We've got 10 likes and there's 25 people viewing. So if we can get a few more people liking the stream, that'd be absolutely fantastic. Don't forget to vote in the poll as well. Where is it here? How low do you think prices to go down? 10%, 15, 20, or 25 plus? 22 votes on that. At the moment, we're looking at 45% of people think there'll be a 10% drop in prices, which is roughly where I see things, 10 to 15%. With a few of you guys, over a quarter, thinking it'd be 20 plus. So, yeah. I'll say this is because you're all viewing from different parts of the country. You're all experiencing different things. And it's very, very important for me, for you guys to know that it will vary where you live. It really will vary where you live. So don't listen to any one source of information. Do your own bits and pieces, your own research. And I say that a lot, don't I? I should get it printed on a t-shirt. Do your own research. Get the house now remortgaged in 2 years. Then that's what a lot of people are doing. A lot of people, especially if they can afford it. How everyone's talking about 2 year fix, but there is no guarantee. There is no guarantee. But if you can afford the rates now, and people are predicting that rates, the new normal rate will be between 3 and 4%, then even if it comes down to 5%, you're still better off than what you would have been. And you've had your house for 2 to 5 years. You've paid off some of the capital. You've had some of the loan, have a bit of capital appreciation, and not have extortionate rent to pay a landlord. That'd be what I would say. But some people would say I'm biased because I'm an estate agent, but it doesn't really matter about prices for estate agents. It's more about how many we sell, and having that money coming in. If prices drop, we sell more houses. Prices go up, we still sell more houses. So it's more about the transaction levels rather than the actual prices that concern estate agents. Should concern estate agents. If you can predict the housing market, you can predict the lottery and winning a horse. That goes without saying. And because you can't see me living in a mansion, you know I'm not that person. In Colchester, seems to be the same. Yeah. So my area is a little bit more affordable than Colchester. So, we're experiencing a lot of competition for those sort of, I say lower end. 300 grand is a hell of a lot of money, but compared to some areas like London, it's relatively cheap. But 300 grand for where I am is sort of where the market, in terms of the amount of buyers looking, tends to slow down. Price still way more than 2020. Yeah. It's not been great. Christine's going from 25, more than 25%. And where are you, Christine, again? Let us know where you are. As much as I'm hopeful, if supply and demand continues to be an issue, houses will continue to rise. It's all well and good having the demand. I mean, I've got a demand of applicants who want to buy at the moment, but they can't because they haven't sold theirs. So wanting to buy and being able to buy are two different things. So we've had buyers who have got their mortgage agreed in principle from our broker or their own mortgage broker, gone away, viewed the houses through us, gone and had an offer accepted, show us the AIP, then gone to apply for the mortgage. And because the rates have gone up, they then can't afford to pay what they want to pay anymore. So yeah, the demand is great, providing it's backed up by the ability to actually buy. There's so many people that want to buy, and a lot of you guys might be watching now. You want to buy, but either the house prices are too high or the mortgage rates are too high, making your payments too high. So that affects your ability to do it. Christopher already got that line. Do your research. Has he trademarked it or copyrighted it? Why didn't I see your live shows before putting in an offer? Probably because I didn't do too many. I used to do one every Wednesday for probably a year, which really helped me sort of grow this channel from having like a few hundred subscribers to I think I've hit 2,500 subscribers now. So thank you so much. If you haven't subscribed, please do, because that'd be really, really great. When I started doing the live streams, I got so many people watching and subscribing. And then it come to Christmas. I took a break from live streaming, spend more time with the kids around Christmas time. And then I just fell out of the routine of it, Tino. And it took me a while to get back into it, but I will be back every week. But if you do want some advice while you're buying the property, drop me an email. The email for me is in the description below, right at the end of the description, lee@leeeverettproperty.co.uk. And I can always help if you have any questions, or if you need to renegotiate for any reason, then you can always drop me an email and I can look to help you out. Christine, when you go to view properties, do you sometimes think you would like to buy it? Have you bought any you've seen? I see so many that I would like to buy, and my wife sends me so many she would like to buy as well. She worked for an agent in a more expensive part of the town. She was taking the photographs of like mansions and sending me pictures of it while she was there. And yeah, so she saw some really nice ones. Yeah, I see the occasional house I'd love to buy. But when you do this job, you've got to you can't be moving every 6 months because you see a better house or a house that you like more. It'd be a very unrealistic and a very expensive way of living. But I'm quite happy in my house. We'll eventually extend. We're in a nice area, good schools nearby, close to the beach. Yeah, it'll take a lot for us to move from this house. If we can't extend or go into the loft or what have you, then maybe we would. But yeah, at the moment, no plans to buy any of the houses I see. Um, if you're an estate agent looking to buy a house, especially when you're valuing, it's a difficult subject to approach the seller with, because you're valuing the property. Are they going to be thinking, oh, are you only saying this price because you would like to buy it? It's quite from a seller's point of view, it can be quite a difficult thing to do. So we'd always advise somebody to get another one or two valuations, just to make sure we're not ripping them off, because we do have a stigma, don't we, as estate agents? And you're in West Sussex, so not too far. That was it. You told me last week, didn't you? I do remember. Suzu, good to have you back. Good to have you back as well. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for joining me. Did you say don't forget to vote Naples? So I don't know what you mean there. Sorry. In the vote, in the poll on the chat. Have a little look there. We are up to 17 likes, guys, so that's great. Any of you who have just joined, please like the stream and subscribe if you haven't. That'd be absolutely fantastic. If you did want to support the channel, then there is a super chat thing as well. If you did want to sort of help out the channel and support me, that would be fantastic, but absolutely not needed at all. If you do want to email me, ask me any questions, I'll always help, whether you've supported the channel or not. So yeah, don't you worry about that. I've lost where I was. Where are we? I have renewed admiration for estate agents since I've been in this process. Don't know how you guys deal with the stress. All mine has been. Yeah, we've. Sorry, just getting the cat. Say hello, Alice. Alice, say hello. If you hear any background noise, it's this one. She doesn't like me. Yeah, it's very stressful. Very stressful. So many people to keep happy, so much information to get from different sources. It's a very stressful process, and I can't imagine how it is. I can imagine because I've done it, but how stressful it is for people who are buying and selling at the same time. It's probably the most stressful thing you could do, especially when chains go wrong as well, Hannah, which obviously yours did, the upward chain. Yeah. I think if I was an estate agent, it would drive me crazy with coveting. Ah, yeah. Tino Stevens is getting expensive due to proximity to London. I started looking at places a little bit away. Like, yeah. I mean, if you can sort of branch out a little bit, they do say location. That's my drink. Buy the worst house in the best street. So I'm guessing that means the worst house and maybe the best location could stretch to that as well. But sometimes moving that a little bit further out, as long as you're not too far away from work, because I think some lenders can be a little bit funny if you live too far away from where you work. They then have to sort of take into consideration your extra driving costs or transportation or commuting costs for getting to and from work. So, but do speak to a broker if you're going further out than too far out from where you work, just to see what the limitations are for the lenders. Cat just bit my foot. She didn't like being on camera. SLB, what's your advice of putting offers in a buyer's market? I've heard we offered in 2 properties and we'll go which I've. Yep. Seems ballsy, but sellers are desperate in my. So there's no perfect way of doing it or right way for it. It will vary from property to property depending on how much and your position. So if you've got a seller that's been on the market and you've built up that rapport, etc., then yeah, you can use that to your advantage and come in with a cheeky bid and hopefully it works. But yeah, we've had some people that have offered on a couple of houses and have said, we like them equally as much. We're going to buy whatever one we can get the cheapest. And that could do one or two things. It can annoy the seller because you're giving them a take it or leave it offer. Or it could instigate a bit of an urgent reaction to say, oh God, we don't want to lose a great buyer because you've provided your proof of funds, you provided your mortgage agreement, solicitors, etc. So you're a good proceedable buyer. That could spark them to say yes straight away and to secure a deal. But more often than not, especially if it's a house that's just come on the market, some sellers turn down their first offers, which is statistically the worst thing you can do. Generally, the first offer somebody gets on a house is the highest price they get most of the time. And every week they're on the market longer, the less money they get. So, yeah, don't be a dick about it when you're offering. Don't be a dick because no one likes dicks. We'll rephrase that later. Maybe edit that out. But yeah, just be courteous when you're putting that offer forward, because how you come across to the estate agent, they may project that to the seller, and then that may influence their response. But it's certainly worth doing. But advice would be just provide all your information when you're offering. So phone call to the estate agent with the price you want to offer. Follow it up with an email with your proof of funds. Then they know you're a good buyer. You've got everything in place. So if the owner says yes, my area with a 3-bed semi that's on at the right, the low ball offer, within the first couple of days, of course, the owner's probably going to wait for those 6 viewings to happen before considering a lower offer. But I could be wrong. Some owners will bite people's hands off and go yes straight away. So it's always worth asking. Hannah, what are your thoughts on the house selling and buying process? It's awful, Hannah. It is awful. And I had an email come through today from some government department or a press release, I think it was, that at last lenders, solicitors, governing bodies of different industries or different parts of the industry are getting together to look at digitalizing the whole of the house buying process, making it simpler, clearer, and bloody quicker, because 4 months to buy a property in this day and age is absolutely awful. But hopefully, I think in September there's a consultation, and if all these different bodies could agree on a new set of ways and avenues to go down for the house buying process, we could start to see finally transactions going through a bit quicker. Anything's got to be quicker than what we've got at the moment. Alice she's she's all right. She's all right. She doesn't like me. She likes her mum more than me. Alice, you're getting a lot of love here, girl. Can you run the risk of pissing off agent? Yeah, 100%. We've got a select few applicants who, when they call up, they give you a name, or sometimes you can tell by their voice, you recognize a voice. If an agent remembers you by voice, it's either a good or a bad thing. But yeah, you can annoy estate agents. I mean, they will put your offer forward because legally they have to, and confirm it in writing to you and the seller. But how they put your offer forward can really influence if an owner even considers your offer. If they come in and say, oh, SLB, right pain in the backside, really difficult on the phone, wouldn't provide his proof of funds, blah, blah, blah. They've offered X amount of money. What do you reckon? Oh, do you know what I mean? If instead the agent's got a good rapport with you, I love it, got SLB, great first time buyer, shown around a couple of places, loves yours the best, really nice person, does this, does that. The first time buyer, really tough for them at the moment. So they've had to come in at this price because they can't afford to go. Do you mean that how an agent really comes across can really influence it? So if you piss off the agent, it can affect how they put your offer forward and how susceptible that owner would be to accepting. Yeah. Borgin again. Does that mean loading again? Borgin again? Don't know what you mean, Leo. Sorry. SLB, I watched A Place in the Sun last week and none of the properties were contenders. Laura Hamilton looked well pissed off. I can't watch any of those shows. It really winds me up. Tina, should I be particularly about boilers, little things in the house like windows and things like that? So I've done a video, which is what to look for when viewing a house, maybe 2 years ago. So if you want to go on my videos and scroll down, I'll give a 8 or 9 minute video of what to look for. But yeah, boilers, the owner has no legal responsibility to test and to make sure it's working. So yeah, if you want to know that's working, then you're probably best looking to do that at some point during the buying process. You can ask the owner to have it tested, but a boiler service is only as good as the day it was done, like an MOT. The next day it could break down and the seller may not tell you. We've sold many a place where the owner hasn't told us that the boiler's not working. Buyers have moved in, and the buyers feel really pissed off that the seller hasn't told them that they've got no running hot water or heating. So definitely look at the boilers. Generally, if it's a newer boiler, most people have a service plan to keep the warranty in place. But if you've got a floor standing boiler or a back boiler, start factoring in that at some point in the near future that boiler may go, and you're looking at £2,000-3,000 for a new gas boiler. Windows, you're looking for blown panels of glass. Sometimes that can be repaired rather than replaced, or replaced rather than having to redo the whole window. Window latches, make sure they're closed and open properly. Any cracks bigger than what you can fit a pound coin in, like the width of a pound coin, they're generally worth looking at in more detail. Damp patches, I wouldn't say anything. I think anything above 1.5 meters off ground level isn't damp or rising damp. If you're on the first floor and you can see mold patches, it's probably more to do with condensation or a leaky gutter or something like that, rather than actual damp. But if you're on the ground floor and on external walls you are seeing mold or staining, then definitely get a timber and damp report done. Generally, they can be done for free. But they're the main ones. Electrics, look for the consumer unit, see if that's been updated recently. If it's the old block fuses, then you're probably going to want to upgrade that, which is, depending where you live, £500 to £1,000. So, yeah, it can. There's a lot to look out for, but search for the video. Search for the video. That should help you out. Do you suggest going in with our best and final first, or expect to have a bid up a few times? Used to be the latter, but maybe I would start low, but not, depending what you feel the property's worth. I personally wouldn't go in too insulting, with too low of an offer, but expect your first offer to generally, especially if you're going to play the game of tennis going back and forth, SLB, then going with a figure you know is going to be rejected. Don't tell the agent that. Keep your cards close to your chest and let the owner come back with a figure. And if they do, you've then got a figure you can try and work off, and then hopefully you can meet somewhere where you're both happy. But I as an agent, that's the part of the bit I like. I like the back and forth and trying to make sure both my buyer and my seller are happy. Because if you're both happy at this point, then it makes a transaction. I'm sure Hannah will say, if she's still watching, that if you're both happy at agreeing the price, then if anything does happen later on in the transaction, whether it's survey or hiccups, delays, you're on a good footing, a good terms already, and people are more likely to wait, hold out, maybe renegotiate if things do go south. But I would certainly go with the build your way up. I've done a video on that as well, on how to offer before the market went crazy, how to offer on a property. Basic rule for me, what I do when I'm buying a house or offering on a house, is to first offer rejected. Say 250. You've offered 250 on a 280 house. Your next offer, whatever the increase is, say it's £10,000 to 260. If that gets rejected, your next offer should be half of the amount you increased last time. So you increased by £10,000 the first time. Your next offer should be 265, and then next offer 267 500, and then 268 750. So the agent will know that each time you're increasing, the amount you're increasing is getting smaller and smaller, therefore indicating, it might not be true, that you're reaching the max that you want to pay for the property. And that should filter through to the vendor, that each offer is getting smaller and smaller each time. And there will come a point where you can't half nothing. So you would have reached a point. But just make sure you don't pay more than what you want to pay. Yes, offered lowish and seller countered with something. I was surprised with it. So see, sometimes you can get a surprising counter offer. I say some owners have put on for a higher price, expecting to be knocked down as well. I don't think that's probably the right thing to do, because you are advertising at an inflated price, and it gives misleading figures for right move and all those sorts of things. But certainly there are a lot of vendors out there who have gone, right, I'll put it on for 280, but I will take 260 if the right buyer comes in. So there's no harm in asking the question at all. No harm in asking the question at all. Looks like I've caught up with all the comments. So if you do have any more questions, please get them in Please get them in sooner rather than later. Hit 20 likes as well. So that's really, really good, guys. That's absolutely perfect. Love it. Love it. So we're all good. How's the stream been? Has it been all right since I done that? Hopefully it's been all right. Great. Yeah. So that is probably going to be the end of the live stream unless anybody posts another question. If you do want to speak to a mortgage broker, email me, lee@leeeverettproperty.co.uk, or a solicitor. If you do want to support the channel, then a super chat would be great, or a thanks. But yeah, keep in touch, guys. Let me know how your journey is going. Hannah, if I don't speak to you or you don't join the stream before you exchange and complete, good luck with your move. I hope it goes great. I'm sure everybody watching, the 30 odd people watching at the moment, wishes you the best of luck in your new home. Enjoy your Indian on your first night. And yeah, let us know how it goes. And thank you again for watching. And guys, thank you so much. I will see you maybe next week, maybe a bit earlier. I don't know. But yeah, look after yourselves and take care. Bye-bye.